Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducksy Gaming, and another video to help you if you're planning to lease start Lightning Strike Raider in 3.18 and it's not a build you've played before. So the main problem some people have is staying alive before they get to the end game gearing. Personally, I've always found the league starter really reliable, and although you will take the odd death, as you know, you're an Evasion Ranger with 4k-ish life, I still normally get to mid-90s on the pure Evasion version, and I push the current character up to nearly level 99 with just adding some extra layers of defense in. So we're going to ignore the endgame defenses, we're just going to look at what you can do to shore your character up early on. First thing is, make sure, once you start mapping, that you get decent base dexterity gear. When you leave the campaign, you're likely to have a mix of gear with poor evasion or may have no evasion on it whatsoever because all you've been concentrating on is the colour of your sockets. So even with Grace and Flasks, your evasion is likely to be really low. To fix this, pick up any higher level dex bases to craft using, essences, harvest, or whatever you have at your disposal. You don't need to look at each item like against a wiki to check the evasion. The level requirements of the item will pretty much determine how high the evasion can go. You want to make sure that any items that you pick up at least have a level 60 requirement. Also, don't forget to use armor scraps on your gear before crafting it, as it boosts evasion massively on each piece. So if you keep the item white, it only takes 4 armor scraps to get that up to 20%. If you don't do this, once you add all your buffs in, you're actually missing out on thousands of evasion by not taking this step. So as an example, let's take a look at a shield you might have when you left the campaign and what you can pick up really early on in the campaign in, a tier 1 map. So if we look at my character here, he doesn't have a shield equipped at the moment. So let's just look at the base evasion with Grace up, Flasks and everything else. So if we activate our Flasks, he's got 24,400 evasion without the shield. If we put on just this standard oak buckler, which let's say it didn't have any increases to evasion, it gives you 244 evasion. Again, we'll activate our Flasks, not gone up that much, 25,500. So we'll just get some Flasks back again. And then this is a shield that I picked up that I've crafted increased evasion on and I've qualityed up. And as you can see, the evasion goes to nearly 1100. So if we now put this shield on, automatically we're nearly at what we were at before with all our Flasks activated. So again, we activate our Flasks, we're now almost at 30,000 evasion. That is from one armor piece swap. So you can imagine that if you do this with all your armor pieces that might have, say, 100 evasion, have then got 300, it can add like 15 to 20,000 evasion once you got your boosts and your Flasks up. Obviously, some items have more evasion than others, like helmets, body armor, and shield are decent. Gloves and boots won't have quite so much. But across the board, you can get a really, really good boost to evasion. And evasion is all you need really into red tier maps. As long as you've got a half decent life pool, there's not much that's going to one-shot you. And if they have real troubles hitting you, they're definitely not going to be able to do that. This is the one important step that I see people missing, is they'll try and rush through maps on their base gear. Some of it, doesn't have any evasion. And even with Flasks up, they might be at like 15,000 evasion. And that's just not going to be enough to make sure that you avoid the majority of the hits. Step 2, it's going to be a bit later on, probably once you've done a few tier maps and got a little bit of currency, is you need to start getting life on your gear now, because we're a ranger, we don't get a huge amount from the tree. Realistically, you might have 100, 110% increased life from the tree, so we need as much help as we can get on life. What I would recommend doing is crafting your helmet, gloves, boots, and body armor with screaming essences of greed. These give a really good flat roll on life. The essences themselves are only like the 3rd tier from the top, so that they should be no more than 1 chaos at a league start. You could buy a bunch of these for say 10c, get all your gear crafted, and you are good to go. Obviously, my recommendation would be to farm these essences yourself, but it all depends what passives you take on the Atlas tree. The other option available is to use live crafts whenever they come up in harvest. Third, get 100% spell suppression and 100% ailment avoidance as soon as possible. When you leave the campaign and you've done your 3rd lab, you will have 70 ailment avoidance from the tree and your ascendancy, and you'll have 85% spell suppression chance. So to do this, I'll look for an item level 72 shield because it can roll 30% ailment avoidance, and then I'll look to get the remaining 50% spell suppression spread through the gear. Now, realistically, early on in white, early yellow maps, you're probably not going to need 100% spell suppression, but it is something you definitely want to aim for early on, as it makes a massive difference to survivability. If you just want to get rocking and rolling as soon as you kill Kitava, a great option is 3-step assault boots. Now, don't look these boots up on PoE Wiki. They're outdated. They've not changed since the item change, I think, in 3.17. Look at it on PoE DB if you want to have a look at the item. It's here in the screenshot. These boots now give you 30% ailment avoidance when phasing, and because of our ascendancy, we're always phasing. They also come with a pretty decent life roll and 25% movement speed. These are normally 1 tier at league start. They're really, really common. I can't see them being more expensive than that. And they also have pretty decent base evasion. You could buy these, as I say, when you kill Kitava, and you're then ready for mapping with the ailment immunity. It also puts a bit less pressure on finding that shield early, because it can be annoying not having your 100% ailment cap, because there are some things like chill ground, there's some essence mods, there's lots of things that can actually inflict an ailment guaranteed, even if you've got, say, 99% ailment avoidance. Step 4, get your cast and damage taken and Immortal Call set up running. It doesn't feel like it should do that much, but actually mapping feels a lot different to running it and not running it, and you just feel a lot safer. Next tip, ensure you're running both War Banner and Grace. You should be able to run all of the endgame auras except Determination when you leave maps because of the mana reservation nodes that we take on the tree. Don't try and push red tier maps on 2.5k life at level 80. At level 64 to 79 character level, you have what's called an 8 zone XP safety net. What it means is that you still earn full XP from that area as long as you're within 8 levels of the zone, either above or below. So if we take a T6 map as an example, it's level 73, which means even at level 81, you're still getting max XP from those maps, and it should be a breeze to complete. And as stated time and time again, this isn't a boss rushing build. Take your time going through the maps, getting all your early completion, getting all those Atlas passives that are really handy, level up nice and safe. When you hit level 80 plus, your safe zone goes up to 9. So that means at level 85 at your character, you can still get max XP by running T9 maps. And you'll still get really good XP from running anything T6 and above. Just be aware of this. If you find yourself dying, have a look at what level are you and what level map are you running, and can you drop down 2 to 3 map tiers to farm it more comfortably, quicker, and get more XP. Next tip is make sure you have both a Jade and a Granite Flask. You can pick both of these up in the campaign. Roll them with alterations to get increased armor and evasion on the Flasks. Now, if all this fails, you can forego some DPS and drop Anger for Determination to get yourself some more guaranteed armor. Now, to counteract losing the flat damage you get from Anger, you are going to probably need to make your jewelry more DPS orientated. So you want maybe double flat LE rolls on both your rings and your amulet, and this will actually make up for the fact that you've lost, say, 120, 130 fire damage from Anger. Now, if we just talk about life values in total, I normally only have between 2 and 2.5k life when I finish the campaign, and then I'll go straight into mapping if my resistances are fine. And this shows you how important it is to start getting life on gear, because you don't get many more life nodes on the tree for the rest of the progression. So it's all about getting levels, because each level you get more life, getting strength into the build, and just getting good life on gear. Now, I will say I do rush through the campaign fairly quickly, but if you're someone who likes to level slower, get your character more progressed, then you're more likely to have close to 3k life even more by the time you hit maps, and that's obviously going to feel a lot more comfortable. They're kind of my quick fire tips for making yourself more tanky and surviving better in early game if you start to struggle. So since we're talking about defenses, I'll just touch at everything at your disposal from, hitting maps to end game gear, things that can help you out surviving. So the first is endurance charges are massive because it gives us lots of phys mitigation. You can get these from a Warlord chest, or you can, if you want to go a cluster jewel variant, you can get a small armor cluster jewel with a node called Enduring Composure, which gives the same mod. Essentially what the mod does is once you get hit, you then start generating endurance charges every second until you get to your maximum. This combines really well with Immortal Call because you get way more damage reduction from using endurance charges with Immortal Call. So Ghost Dance on the tree adds a good chunk of ES, but it's only worth taking once you get the Gravicious Craft on your chest, which is life as extra ES. If you don't have it, there's no point taking it as you've probably only got about 10 energy shields, so does it really matter if that regens? Again, endgame auras, Grace, Determination, War Banner equals Evasion and Armor. High Evasion and high Armor rolls, really important on gear. Don't sleep on it. It can, as I say, it makes end game. It makes a huge difference. You can end up with like 20 to 30k extra evasion and armor because you've really looked at making sure you're maximizing the potential of your armor. And then lastly, elusive naturally gives us chance to take no damage when hit, and you'll always be elusive. So even if your evasion fails, let's say you got 80% evade chance. Even if that fails, you've got like a 25% built-in block chance from the shield, and then you'll have around 15 to 20% chance for elusive to just activate and you not take any damage when you get hit. All these combined is why it makes a build that may only have 4.5, 5k life be able to get to like level 100 naturally, because of the more and more you add into it, the much more difficult it gets for enemies to actually be able to kill you. So that covers off the video. Really wanted to make it quick because I know the guide was quite long. Hope these tip videos help. There's going to be more to come before league start. But as always, take care and see you in the next video.